We live. Welcome back, all you beautiful people, to the We Got Action podcast, episode 53 coming at y'all. Today, we have got the NBA Finals recap. The Denver Nuggets have won the chip. I was the only one. I think I said 5. Thank you.
I said I think it'll be 5, but I'm going 6.
Just saying. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that, pat myself on the back.
So
we're going to do a quick recap, talk about the Nuggets and the Heat, maybe what they got moving forward. And then take a sneak peek at some really early offseason favorites to win the title in 23-24. And then we'll touch on NFL, a couple big players, big names. Steph did not show up, or I guess I should say Stefon Diggs. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we got to separate now.
We're in the wrong
season's over.
Yeah. Stefon Diggs did not show up to mandatory camp, and Dalvin Cook was released by the Vikings. So we're going to touch on those two. And then 2 more topics for baseball. Talk about the Phillies, and then a shout out to JT Realmuto, who just hit for the cycle. And then we're going to touch on a very congested Rookie of the Year race. Some guys who are favorites right now, other guys who are creeping up, some guys just starting their rookie season, some guys who may be sleepers. I know you had one that you were just talking about right before. But let's just go to the most pertinent information of the podcast, which will be the finals. The Denver Nuggets did wrap it up in 5 games.
Yep.
At home. Tight one though. It was good. It was a good ass game.
It was a good series.
I wanted to go to bed, and I did not go to bed.
Yeah. It was a good series. It was like, it brought me back to like the kind of at least our era of NBA when we were younger. You know, those low scoring games.
For the most part, yeah. There was only one game where both teams hit 100.
Yeah. So, I mean, pretty much, if I'm not mistaken, the whole series, every game was the under, if I'm not mistaken.
Every game except for one. No, because even game 2 might have hit the over.
Game 2? Okay.
It was about 219, but the over under, it's set usually around 215.
Yeah. So it was pretty low, but I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a chess match, in my opinion. I mean, Denver overpowered them, but the Heat did enough to make it, I guess, more interesting than probably what it should have been.
I was annoyed at the conclusion of it because I definitely think we could have gone 6 or 7 if it was Boston.
Oh yeah, I was actually talking about that today.
Like, I feel like performances by guys like Max Strus and Caleb Martin in the conference finals playing out of their absolute minds.
Yeah.
In my opinion, robbed us of a more competitive finals. Again, I'm not saying this wasn't competitive. Miami did compete.
Yeah, it's not like
each game was
but a more even series.
But I think it could have gone 6 or 7 against a more complete Boston Celtics team.
Yeah.
But again, kudos to Miami. They made a pretty improbable run. But I think at the end of the day, their biggest weakness was shown. They have a lack of scoring.
Yep.
Yeah.
They really do.
And a lack of size.
Outside of Jimmy and Bam, when you try to have these role players who, again, they're good at their roles, but they're not able, most of them aren't able to create shots for themselves.
Yeah.
Like, they have multiple players on Denver who is able to, if Jokic isn't going, if Murray's not going, then they're able to make do with other players.
Yeah. And I feel like Murray made sure of getting his teammates involved, and like I think he saw that there were games that they lost when he was struggling.
3 games, really.
And this whole series, I mean,
he averaged 10 or just shy of 10,
just over 10.
Yeah,
for the finals.
He was going crazy.
10 assists.
Yeah, and he averaged over 20 points. So he did have that 5 of 17 night, but like he was
able to make up for it in a lot of other ways than you would expect. That's for sure. That's for sure.
And then I found it impressive. Obviously, we've harped on Aaron Gordon the entire playoffs. Really, he's been, in my opinion, their X factor in each series. His constant hustle, always guarding a number 1, very very key for them. And then I thought Michael Porter Jr. in this series was fairly non-existent.
Yeah.
But in this last game, the closeout game, double-digit rebounds.
Yeah.
Was able to get his shot even when he can't. The 3-point shot's not falling. He was able to constantly cut, make plays in other ways.
He rebounded well, I think, the whole finals, and I think he also made timely shots. He was struggling most games.
He did catch a big 3 to stop a run in the third.
It felt like every time he made a shot, it was one that meant something. It was one that, whether it be stopped a run or push the lead to double digits, like those big momentum type of shots that he was hitting. So as much as he wasn't great.
Yeah, I think he might have cashed a 3 right when Jimmy was going on his run in the fourth quarter, where Jimmy had 9 straight or 11 straight for.
It was either him or Murray. Murray hit one in the corner.
It might have been Jamal in the
probably
fourth,
because Porter assisted to Murray
Jamal
in that
in the
one corner.
Yes,
Yeah,
Jamal in the corner. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. But to be honest, that was a complete team in my opinion. You have your 2 stars that push you along the way, and then you hope that one of those 2 role players can come in. Bruce Brown and Aaron Gordon,
Bruce Brown
monsters
the last couple
in
years.
monsters in their role. Obviously, they had pieces everywhere as far as defense goes. They had enough offense.
Struggled shooting, but he played pretty solid defense. He was a pest in the passing lane.
Yeah, and
for
he
sure.
Pushed the game on that.
Yeah, big steal, big read on that.
That was the most important thing, was that if the players were struggling at what they necessarily do best, they were able to at least make up for it in other ways. Same thing with MPJ, showed a different kind of aggression instead of just shooting threes the whole game, was driving to the hole, especially later in the game. But there's nothing you can do about it. The better team, like we said, won.
That was about as good defensively as I've ever seen him as well. He's never been a good defender. I think we talked about it, whether it was last week or before. But it's consistently putting in effort on defense, even with the shot not falling.
I was going to say, that's so tough.
Yeah.
If you ever watched your teams play, like I know it's big for us in Chicago. If we're having a bad offensive night, the defensive effort's usually not there.
Yeah.
Like that's usually just how basketball is. When your shot's falling, it's easier to defend. So big kudos to guys like MPJ and KCP who didn't have their shots there, but continued to still buckle down and play hard-nosed defense, because that's tough to do, man.
And I mean, the playoffs in general is a different animal as well. Especially when you're a team that's expected to win it all, you would expect that your players, other than their blunder that they had, but they showed up and they played better, obviously, than they would in the regular season.
Bro, so. they should officiate every regular season game the same way they officiated the second half.
It'd be a lot.
Game 5.
It'd be a lot more better basketball. It'd be a lot more better basketball.
There was hacking and there was everything, and they weren't calling shit, and I loved it.
Yeah. I was a bit surprised though at that Jimmy corner 3 that they called the foul, but I also understood as well, because to me I didn't think it was going to get overturned as an offensive foul, because I feel like it was more of a natural kick and fadeaway type of thing, but it could have gone either way in my opinion.
Yeah, you can't call a defensive foul on a natural motion when the defense did not commit any foul.
It's just funny because there's if he would have jumped and contested, but Aaron Gordon basically put his hand up and just turned around.
Yeah,
there was no real contest.
Yeah, because Aaron Gordon was the one who got kicked.
That was so cool.
He didn't do anything else, but
yeah.
Better team won though. Better team won. I'm happy for them. First championship for him. I think this also cements Jokic getting that 15 in Denver over Melo. Yeah. So
going forward for Miami, they're kind of, in my opinion, in a similar spot where they were last year and the year before. They're in need of a score.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They're in need of a score. I said, we all kind of agreed that going into this season, Donovan Mitchell, some kind of guy like that would have been a huge piece for them. And they struck out on everybody. Obviously, Damian Lillard talks are going on right now. What do you guys think the Heat need to do to get over the hump? Because obviously they made the finals in 2020, lost to LA, made a conference finals last year, lost to a better team at Boston. They overcame Boston, but then get massively overshadowed by Denver's supremacy here. They have any thoughts?
They need 2 things.
Yeah.
They need a true big, and I'm not talking just a guy who can play the 4 or the 5. They need a guy who is 7 feet tall, who can hang in there with guys, because as good as Bam is,
a little more size. Bam's not. He's more of a 4.
He's a 4, and if he can continue to develop his offensive game to where he can actually be a 4 on offense,
he looked great.
That's gonna be.
He looked
huge
great
for them. I said it. I don't remember if it was here, if I said it in private somewhere. That I thought a player that to me fits the mold that the Heat need is Vooch.
Oh, Vooch. Oh, that was
yeah.
I think you told me about that.
He gives them that offense that we know that Bam can struggle with, and that's why Bam's been playing the 5 for them, is because offensively he's so limited. They need to bring in offense around him. So then if you bring in an offensive center who's, one of the elite defensive rebounders in the league, which we saw they struggled with throughout the postseason, not just the finals. I think it makes a lot of sense for me. But their number one target has to be a go-to scorer, whether it be Dame or whoever else is available.
And someone like Vooch who's able to score and play your five is kind of picking two birds with one stone there.
I'm with it. I think more so, if they're able to get a backup big, I think a more serviceable big. Obviously, Cody Zeller was not it at all. I just think that you needed someone to bring off the bench that can actually contribute and then slide Bam to keep, because Bam was playing out of his mind offensively. He was the best offensive player in this series, in my opinion, and he's keeping him in every game, and defensively was going crazy. But I think it's more so important that you fill out the bench, obviously with a serviceable big. And then if you're able, in my opinion, if the Dame trade is going to go through, you're able to give up Kyle Lowry. I would even say Tyler Hero as well. You're unloading about $50 to $60 million worth in cap space. Get Dame and give up maybe 2-3 first-round picks for future ones. I think that's a win there. And then obviously you've seen with their scouting department, they're able to fill out the roster with people that they need. I think they'll keep Gabe Vincent. I think they'll be able to keep him. I think they'll be able to keep Max Strus. So you'll have those pieces returning, and maybe Oladipo might come back as well next year. So
and I mean, they still have Duncan Robinson too, which is 20 mil in space. Whether they're able to,
and if they're able to flip him, for maybe one or two just mid-level pieces, you never know. But I think that's where they need to go.
He was good for them, I thought. Especially
he was really starting to
coming in
develop his game a lot more. Throughout the playoffs.
It wasn't just catch and shoot. He was making guys closing out hard. Kicks. So he was driving. He was
making a lot of back cuts.
He was also just stopping in the mid range, popping, not taking that 18-footer, 21 those longer twos that a guy can hit. He's just
hitting the pump fake, take a step in, and then shoot.
Because guys are closing out hard. So. It'd be interesting to see if they can get him back into the lineup full time, because he definitely would help if he can. I know he had a bad shooting year, but if he could get back up to his standard upper 30s percentage and continue to develop a little bit, he could make that 20 mil contract look like less of a mistake.
I think at this point though they need to flip on that, because he performed so well in the playoffs, different from what he did. I think now is the time you got to sell high.
Especially if you're going to have a Gabe Vincent and a Max Strus and a Tyler Hero and a Duncan. It feels like there's so many.
So many of the same player. Yeah.
And now with the emergence of Caleb Martin as well, another kind of guy. Well,
the emergence.
We'll see.
Submerged.
I was going to say, we talked about a team last week with the Detroit Pistons. They've got an overload of bigs. The Magic have an overload of bigs. So there's definitely some teams you could target to flip, you were saying, Danny, one of your bench guys for one of their bench bigs.
And these are the type of teams that are willing to take on money.
Right.
Yeah. The team might need shooting. I know the Pistons' biggest need is a wing. The Pistons' biggest need.
Because imagine if Miami can get another young big with potential. Actually groom them some we talked
at the same time.
We talked about, even with obviously maybe a Marvin Bagley. He's a 7-footer, probably more of a 4 than a 5. But imagine what the Heat can do with that type of player that has that type of mass potential there. Same thing with Orlando. Imagine if a Bol was in a good situation of Miami. Obviously, it doesn't have the beef to really bang down low. But
Wendell.
That too, but when I don't see Orlando giving him up though. He's been balling for them.
Yeah, and they got rid of Mo at the deadline, so they started to passion that out.
Get Mo from LA. He play for
he's $10 million though, so I don't know. He has a team option, I think. So there's options.
Flipping the script then.
Denver.
To Denver, correct.
Well, Bruce Brown's a free agent. Well, he has got a player option for $7 million this season, but there's no way now he's taking.
I played that.
He's gonna.
They only can offer him $9 million at the mid. It's 20% more, so I think $9 million is what they can max him at.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting.
But knowing him, if he's a team player like that and truly appreciate that, I guess what Mike Malone did.
Run it back.
They can get him for a steal, maybe 2 years, $9 million, another player option as well. So you never know. Never know.
I can see some teams that are in the process of some guys that just got new head coaches like
Yeah.
Phoenix or something going after a Bruce Brown.
Oh yeah,
Somebody
but
grittier.
I think Phoenix is actually one of
Because
really
especially
good
when you
shots.
saw how well he played with KD in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Kyrie and James were out.
Yep.
He played a really clean 2-man game with
Yep.
Kevin Durant.
And he's proven it time and time again that not only
could
can
be
he
a
be a
good fit.
contributing player who doesn't need to shoot,
Right.
when the lights get bright and he gets shoved into the lineup for
can
whatever
knock it down.
reason, he can do more than knock it down. This man was taking James Harden step back threes on game 4.
was.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was watching.
Yeah. He's a great player.
Fast breaks.
And
Jordan
Denver also
Collins.
got a first round pick for
Thunder.
2024 from the Thunder as well, even during the final. So they're still making moves and looking ahead. So same thing with them. They've drafted well. And
they got their key players are all under contract for at least another year or two.
Yeah. I believe
not
it's without Bruce Brown, I think it's at 6 or 7 guaranteed like that are there next year. But if you look at it, what
is
contract wise?
Does he have 2 more? I think.
I believe he has 2 more because he signed an extension with them, if I'm not mistaken.
And we know MPJ signed the big one before last year.
He should have 3. He should
Jamal
have 3 left.
Signed one.
Yeah.
And Jokic as well.
So Jokic is signed through 26-27.
Yep.
Jamal is signed through, this thing wants to load properly. Signed through 24-25.
So he's
Porter Jr. 26-27. Aaron Gordon through 24-25 with a player option, the 25-26 season. Pope has 1 year plus a player option. The guys who aren't guaranteed are Ish Smith, Jeff Green, and DeAndre Jordan. So Jeff Green's the only one of those 3 that played
significant minutes.
And they got Christian Braun on a rookie, Zeke Naji on a rookie, Canchar on a rookie, Peyton Watson, who didn't play, on a rookie.
Christian Braun's a great player to have on a rookie.
Thomas Bryant, I think he may have a player option.
No money next year. They have they got like Colin Gillespie and Jack White. Who are eligible for qualifying offers, so I doubt.
Because I think now they'll be able. I think Jeff Green, I would probably say, is a good bet to come back on a minimum because he's serviceable, obviously in little spurts here and there. Ish Smith they'll probably get rid of. DeAndre Jordan may probably retire. They didn't really use him. They may be able to retain Thomas Bryant if he wants to come back as well. Maybe he'll actually get into the rotation, but they'll have options. I'm not worried about them in the depth that they'll be able to have.
The main core is there.
Yeah,
the main
that's all you need.
7 is there for next year, and I think they've got a really good shot to run it back. We talked about them last year as being a top 3 to 4 team in the West. As the season went on, we talked about them being a front runner for the title, and I mean that stayed fairly consistent throughout most of our predictions. Is them being a big team to beat as long as everyone stayed healthy. Everyone stayed healthy. They kind of went through a gauntlet pretty easily, to be honest. Outside of Minnesota,
and everybody,
the other teams they beat were all pretty solid teams. Could have been.
And everybody's saying that it was a cakewalk of a finals, this and that, but this is what you work for throughout the regular season: is to be the #1 seed. So
that you play the
quote unquote have the easier path. Exactly. So they did their job throughout the whole regular season and the postseason. Props to them. I don't discard it at all as a weak ring or anything like that.
No. Call it a cakewalk too when you're looking at a Suns team that had KD and Booker, along with everything else they've got. Ayton, CP, the Lakers, who
they were playing their best ball of the year when they lost. They got swept.
Yep.
Everyone was talking about, oh my God, the Nuggets might be in trouble here. Look how good the Lakers are doing. Swept them. Shut them down. I think people are really. I mean, it's happened every year.
In the first round too, though, you had Ant, Cat, Rudy
this
Gobert.
happens every year. People like to discredit the winners.
Usually, as usual.
Typically sometimes there's truth to it. You get the Phoenix Suns run of 2021, where every team they played was injured. That valid shade thrown on there, but come on. This was.
But at the same time, you got a job to do. Your job is to obviously play whoever's in front of you, and then whatever happens at that point. But props to Joker and all of them.
With that said, and them keeping the majority of their core, they are actually tied with Milwaukee as being front runners to win the championship next year. They have the best betting odds, followed by Boston, Phoenix, Golden State, the Sixers, the Lakers, the Cavs, the Clippers, and then finally rounding out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rounding out the top 10 would be Miami with the tied for the 10th best odds with Dallas.
Okay.
Is there any team that you're expecting maybe outside of that to make a run?
Before the off-season moves, it's
I
hard.
mean, it is very
Yeah.
tough. Sacramento's pretty low on that list, which is surprising to me for how good they did.
Yeah.
I would have expected them to be over at least. I mean, I guess they're thinking about Ja coming back, Zion coming back, full year of Dallas with Kyrie and Luka.
I mean, if Kyrie stays,
that's true.
That's
another year older LeBron though. We have dysfunction of the Sixers, so there's a few teams I'm surprised that are up that high.
Yeah, on DraftKings, I actually have the Celtics ahead of the Bucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then they got the Lakers tied with the Warriors.
That's just so interesting to me because I feel like
Sixers just
the Lakers still have questions.
There's a lot of teams
like teams are
Warriors
just
more than half of their roster, if not like 3/4 of their roster is a free agent. Like
interesting picks,
and they're gonna cap themselves out with the Rui Hachimura signing, which they're probably gonna do with Austin Reeves. They're gonna match close to $100 million a year. So you're telling me you're gonna have two contracts worth of $20 to $25 million. And then you're going to have AD's contract, which he's due up for an extension. And then you're going to have the LeBron contract that he already signed. Like,
I mean, what are you going to do with D'Lo? He's going to have a cap hold until they figure out what they can do.
Exactly.
They're not in a good
position. It's a mess.
But the Lakers
they're in a mess.
I was say teams I like would be obviously Denver and Milwaukee and Boston.
Yeah.
I think there's question marks probably around Phoenix because with what they have to fill out around KD and Book because they are fairly thin right now. Yeah. And I actually like Cleveland to have gotten their feet wet a little bit with the core, a young core. They're a team I think that Mitchell can lead them a little further into possibly a conference finals run next year.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's all a learning experience. Too. The bigs weren't very healthy going into the playoffs between Jared Allen.
Well, I was saying a healthy Clippers team too is another team that.
Oh, you like the Clippers?
If they're healthy, one of the biggest ifs in the league.
Well, if they're healthy, they're probably
if you were
plus 500 instead of
guarantee
plus
that
20.
Kawhi and Paul George and all the main guys are going to be playing without
those front runners, bro.
Yeah, without any issues in playoff time, then I think they're up there too.
Well, I mean, at this point, Kawhi's at least going to have at least half an off season to where he can, kind of get everything back. Obviously, he had the torn meniscus and in the round against Phoenix. He's on the timeline already of about like 2 months so far, so maybe another month or so, and then can ramp it back up fully. So he should have a decent time to get healthy for the off season. Who knows? But it's tough. But I feel like I think the Celtics are the most sure bet, I would say, if they retain Jaylen Brown, because mostly everybody important. Same thing with them. The core is re-signed. But I'll say the Bucks are my team to look out for. Yeah, I think so. Team to look out for. And then if I had like a sleeper, team, I'll probably go with the Mavericks if everything works out correctly. If they make the right moves of what I think they may possibly do to unload money and to bring help in and re-sign Kyrie, obviously.
Front runner sleeper.
Front runners. I'm gonna go with the curse here, and the Nuggets don't have the best year. I think I like the Bucks pick. I think this is a team that we were talking about seeing every year in the finals, and then all of a sudden, a couple years out. So I think they're due. In terms of a sleeper, it's gonna depend on the moves that they can make here.
Steal my pick.
But I am gonna go, and I think this one is a very much a long shot, but the Pelicans.
You son of a gun.
Oh, was that you?
Yeah.
Wow. If Zion can come back and stay healthy and stop trying to,
I mean, we saw what they were with Zion. They were second seed, 27, and
and they're in talks of possibly trying to scoot up to number 2 to get Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, they're aggressive.
I don't know what they got cooked up. I mean, they got picks, so who knows? But they can get Scoot without giving up
Trey or Herb.
Well, I don't. You can't.
They probably have to be losing CJ.
You cannot have Scoot, BI, and Zion on the same team and then trade away Trey Murphy. Like the spacing of that's going to be garbage.
I don't know, but I mean,
So
they got something in the works.
they're aggressively pursuing the second and third
Because you could
picks.
have CJ running back the
fucking
point.
slasher nation.
You'll have CJ running the point. You could have Scoot at the 2 to also offload the ball from CJ. Be able to have BI, who's extending his game a bit to the 3-point line, and healthy Zion, and then Jonas.
Valanciunas, yeah.
I mean, let's talk about extending his game to the 3-point line. Boy, when that man
That's
gets
what I'm
hot.
saying.
All right, now I feel like I have to change my pick.
Yeah.
Also,
Also, before you go,
That's
funny
the
of Trey
worst.
Young to send out that tweet saying we're next. Sorry,
No, you're not.
You're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Not even
No, you're
close.
No.
I'll stick with the team I said. I'll go Cleveland then. I was
Okay.
gonna go with New Orleans was my pick. But I'll go Cleveland as a sleeper, and then I'm actually gonna take Denver as my front runner.
I feel like you have to. They got
believe in
the
the
pieces and the cohesion.
it's
So
just it's
The,
the
for
short
me,
off
the
season.
curse doesn't make sense to me. Like, yeah, maybe they start slow, but here's what I'll say, bro. This shit felt so different to me watching Jokic like fucking just like was it just me or he didn't even care? Like
He
it
was
felt
just
like,
going to-
bro,
bro,
it felt
it
like
was-
he didn't even care that they won.
he was just going about his business. I think he's just
Bro,
finally
it was
like,
so amazing to watch that.
yeah,
These
like
boys
he's
were
literally just
crying, hands on the hardwood. He dapped up every Heat player and then just did his interview, wanted to go home, play with his bro. I was like, what? Like,
Bro,
shed
you
a
know what
tear.
though? He said some real ass shit though. Like, what person really loves their job? You know what I'm saying? Like, he said some real shit. Like, I can't
saw
fault
that
him for that
earlier.
at all. Can't fault him for that at all. So you know what? He's probably just
Like,
like
even as a professional NBA basketball player, he'd still rather be sitting at home doing nothing.
Yeah, he wants to go back to Serbia and see his horses,
Bro, like that to me is like what's so real. Like,
yeah,
like when you have somebody so selfless like that just doesn't get caught up in any of that stuff, like I feel like you just don't have anything. That's just crazy. And then obviously if MPJ and Jamal stay healthy, like those are the key pieces. We've said that for the last 3-4 years.
I think
I
it
don't
also puts
disagree.
into
And it was finally
perspective.
happened.
Because I think we see a lot, right? People complain when athletes complain,
Mhm.
whether it be like, oh, we're out on the road a lot. Like they're like, you make so much money, all you do is play sports. Like, I don't think people realize how much goes into playing a professional sport. And like, your free time isn't free time; it's rehab.
It's still work.
You know, you're constantly doing something to take care of yourself. Like, you very rarely actually get to do anything for yourself until you're off in the off season. So like, and you can see it. Like, Jokic won a championship. He was doing his presser, and they told him that he was gonna have to stick around until the parade
Until Thursday,
Friday, and
he said,
he looked devastated.
Yeah.
All he wants to do is go back to Serbia, go back to his farm, see his horses.
Can't fault him.
It's wild.
I'm telling you, that shit.
It is what it is.
That mentality right there.
Yeah,
that's why I think they have a chance to go back to back.
Yeah, it is what it is right there.
So that's it, man. We might
end.
have some. What was it, Danny? You was talking about the draft next week.
Yeah, so
talk a little bit about that.
Since the draft is next week, next Thursday, the 22nd, what we will be doing is, so we're not going to do like an actual recorded episode or anything like that, like we are doing right now, but it'll be up on YouTube. So we may have some guests on during the NBA draft, just so that we can throw some things out there as well. Little subjects here and there to talk about, but just to kind of get like a full-time reaction during the draft of the players or any trades that may happen or anything like that. So we'll at least go through with the first round, see how the vibes are there. But that way you guys will actually get a real life reaction for the NBA draft and stuff like that. That'll be up on YouTube. So we may even do a live stream on YouTube as well. I'll figure that portion out by next week. But yeah, we'll have some people on and see who can get on, and we'll do a live reaction there for you guys. So that's what we'll do for quote unquote the next episode, but it'll just be more of a draft special.
And then after that, basically chilling until free agency news and big stuff like that starts popping around.
Yeah.
So but
It's
NBA is pretty much done, dude. Crazy.
Yeah, I think next week's going to be hot though.
With people,
I think so.
Movement and
I think
signage.
so. It's things like the Trailblazers can only move their pick on draft night because of the stipend rule. Is it how you pronounce it?
Stipend.
Yeah. So like it has to be on draft night if they're doing anything. So we're not going to know until the draft is gone.
But we might have to get on at like 6:37.
Yeah.
Like before. Because it's usually at 7:30.
Because they got like
texting
they'll
you
have
on
the NBA they'll have the NBA countdown like show and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we'll I'll figure it out so then that way obviously we can make it look nice. But yeah, we'll have some different people on. We'll do some live reaction. We'll have some subjects to talk about, or if our guests have anything that they've disagreed with us or anything like that. From what we've posted so far, we'll be able to, you know, have a little bit of a debate in between the 2-3 minutes and all that.
It'll be my
when the picks are announced. So yeah.
First missed episode.
Yeah, quote unquote.
What's that?
I don't.
What's a missed episode?
I didn't know until we moved into a Thursday. Until we made a Thursday special.
What's a missed episode?
That's like the one day like they don't want us to switch our shifts either.
They don't want us to win. All right, though. So NBA coming to a close for the most part. Outside of the draft special next week, we're gonna run. So let's go to a sport that is, you know, really ramping up. So again, mandatory camps are starting, and big news basically right off the bat.
Not so mandatory, apparently.
Yeah, Stefon Diggs for the Buffalo Bills does not report to camp, which is kind of strange in my opinion because there was no real off-season speculation that there was anything wrong. Again, the last we really heard of Steph, he was distraught and annoyed with, you know, Josh Allen and other teammates that at the lack of what he felt was like caring to win. And he obviously is one of the most competitive guys in the league. You can see it by the way he plays, by the way he carries himself, performs interviews and stuff like that.
He did post an Instagram story about it. And he said, "I just be letting people cap. If them lies help you sleep better, tell them, big dog." So sounds like there's
some beef maybe with somebody.
I think so. I think it's something that we it's something that we don't know about. I think that's deeper, and I think Josh Allen kind of alluded to it that it's non-football related that they're trying to work through. So I just think it's more so trying to work through everything. But
it was definitely, I think, to a relief of Buffalo fans that Josh did come out and say that because he obviously is the face of that team, and when at least
they're close.
The problem
they're
player,
close.
the player that's the problem at the moment, and the face of the team are like still seem to be on good terms.
Yeah,
that seems good. Like he's saying he's got his back. That's his brother. But it's just it's interesting, man, because that's again there was nothing really that alluded to this happening. So who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah, I think he ultimately in the end he'll be there. You know, he's under contract, you know, and things like that. I don't think it's to where, you know, trade me to a contender. You're already on a team that's a contender. You know, I don't think it's that type of situation. I just think there's some mixed feelings involved. I think it's just look like. Are we actually going all in on this? Are we, you know, trying to do what we can to make sure we reach our full potential at that point?
I like the way you said that. I feel like it is kind of him saying, I want to make sure that we're here to win a championship and that we're ready to go all in because that's what he's here for. Like he's going to be, what, 29, I think?
Yeah. So, I mean, he's in his prime. He's in his prime right now.
He's got to win now because he only got a couple more years, especially at receiver, of being elite.
Yeah.
Right? So he might just want to see the direction of the team and make sure that, you know, guys are where he wants them to be, or at least where he is, where he holds himself at. So I think that's a good point you made right there.
Yeah.
But
he'll be there. He'll be there though.
I agree. I do agree. He'll show up.
Yeah.
At least for, you know, a preseason game if they play it, or even pulling Aaron Rodgers, don't play anything and just play the first game. I mean, he's good enough.
Yeah.
Well,
first game terribly, then come back and do your thing.
Nah, they'll be straight.
He'll be fun. Yeah, he'll be fun.
So second one for NFL. That was just a brief thing that happened. But the Minnesota Vikings. What's
very interesting.
I was convinced that was not going to happen.
I thought it was just like, you know, like typical like off season, like people are bored and just writing stories.
Yeah.
And like I know the running back position, especially over the last couple of years.
RG3 had a good quote.
Yeah,
you can keep going though.
Yeah, it's kind of been. It's the problem is like they're right in that it's the most replaceable position, right?
Right. You find like, so much talent at such a
and then they have such a short, you know, shelf life as a, you know, an elite NFL running back.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like a guy is in the midst of his, you know, of doing like, he had a bad year, but the team passed on like, it was like they ran on passed on more than 50% of their plays.
Yeah.
So like, are you expecting a running back to have all pro numbers while getting, half the carries the other guys are getting?
Yep.
So, and I know the concerns, but like, what's the problem with signing guys to like a 1 year, 2 year contract?
And as well, to piggyback off of that, it's not like he was getting paid 15, 20 million. We're talking about 10, 11 million. For what he was and the caliber of the player that he is still currently, that's a bargain. For at least in my opinion, that's a bargain. So it's just kind of weird. He had 1,000 yards in 4 of the 6 seasons. He did what you wanted him to do, but you became a passing offense. So that's probably why they became a passing offense. And they're like, look, we'll be able to hand it off here and there, but that's not going to be what we're focused on.
And I mean, Madison over the last couple of years when Dalvin has missed games, which is probably his biggest knock, right, is that he does get hurt a decent amount. Madison's stepped in every time and been very successful.
I would say serviceable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say very successful.
Yeah. I think in most of the games he started, he put up great numbers. But again, if you're getting, how much of it comes down to the fact that like it is a limited sample size and teams don't know what they're what they're prepping for, and things like that. So I don't agree with, as much as I agree that running backs are more replaceable. I don't agree with having a top talent and just letting him go for nothing because you feel like the other guy can, fill in at, a fraction of the cost. Because what happens if Madison goes down?
Exactly. Because they're doing, if I'm not mistaken, too, I want to say one of their linebackers as well. They're looking, it's not Daniel Hunter. I know he's a part of the conversation of whether they'll extend or trade him. But I believe it's it might be him. One of their linebackers, he's around like the 10, $11 million mark, and they're debating on if they want to let him go. But I think that you have that position covered, keep it while you can until you can actually let him go. So it's somebody else. It wasn't.
They don't even have Kendricks anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They already got rid of him.
He got rid of him last year.
I think it was Daniil. I know they were talking about Daniil Hunter. He's been in trade rumors.
I don't really know what his contract is. So.
I mean, he's never had less than 6 sacks in a season.
I don't know. That's just so dumb to me.
Yeah, it's
letting the player walk. For me, it was different with D-Hop because like they knew they weren't going to be competitive this year. So like, why pay somebody 20 mil when you're going to probably get 3 to 4 wins?
Yeah, and when you're not going to be competitive,
But like Minnesota is probably like they're probably most people's favorites, if not
in the NFC North.
Yeah,
and it was Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks is also there. Jordan Hicks.
Like it's a weak division. Your probably best opposition is going to be Detroit, and then obviously Chicago's on the up, but I'm not holding my breath on that.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
You know what I'm saying? It's a weak division. Like this is a chance for you to put a couple years together of you trying to win the division and keep making playoff runs.
Mm-hmm.
Or keep making playoffs. I don't know. Just doesn't make sense, especially somebody who's been a staple in your team. But again, they did draft Quentin Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
So they are definitely moving towards. Was it?
No, Johnston went to the Chargers, right?
Was it Jordan Addison then?
I think so.
Damn, I can't remember.
I think it was Addison. Because there was a report about KJ.
Yeah, Jordan Addison. Yes. Yeah.
For the number 2 spot, I think it was.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And
I think it was Jordan Addison. Yeah.
Yeah, I see him. Yeah.
Yeah. And then already having KJ Osborne grabbing TJ Hawkinson at the deadline last year.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're loaded on that side of the ball, but again, it's gonna even if they get rid of Dalvin and then don't do anything additional to their defense, then you're
like a step backwards.
Yeah. Then what was the point ultimately if you're not really going to truly upgrade? So it's yet to be seen, but we'll see.
I believe it was a tweet, might have been a comment on Reddit, one of the two when this happened. They were discussing, the lack of, the value of the running back position and how they can try to balance it. And somebody suggested making rookie running back contracts more expensive. Bring the rookie running back contracts closer to the average running back contract.
Mm-hmm.
That way, when you're paying that
having
premium,
a higher minimum.
Yeah, that way when you're paying that premium for an elite running back, you're not paying like 10, 12, 10, 15 million above what you could be drafting.
You could also even throw in like a something for like, I don't know if a running back hits specific thresholds
Mhm.
in their rookie or first season, they
Yeah,
have
the contract
they can
like
opt
boost,
out.
yeah. Oh
or
yeah.
they can, or a boost,
Yeah,
a
or
boost,
maybe
or
like
like
a-
an opt out, and they can
Yeah, if a
Resign.
rookie running back rushes for 1,000 yards, his contract
Right.
goes up to 5 mil or something like that, where
Yeah.
it forces teams to, make bad decisions rather than, well, he's cheaper, so I'm gonna go with him.
Exactly. Yeah.
something like that. A little bit of restructuring around the contracts for running backs.
I mean,
'cause-
we're seeing Saquon holding out too.
correct.
Yeah, Saquon's,
and
yep.
they paid Danny Dimes 40+ million, and he's not a 40+ million quarterback.
No.
And you got Saquon who's asking, hey, I'm not even trying to be the highest paid running back in the league.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. I just want to be paid according to where I've been.
I mean, I'd say he's at least worth $20 million. I don't think there's any question about that.
I mean,
fully
but
healthy.
You take away you're never going to be able to. It's as a running back, it's going to be almost impossible to get that type of money.
Yeah.
And so he was tagged at a 10.1 million franchise tag, which is it's almost what the freaking Vikings cut Dalvin for.
Right.
Yep.
Like
and Dalvin was in a contract off of his rookie year or rookie contract.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at like what the running back position is just is the way they are valued is so different to every other player in the league. And it's detrimental to them in their careers, like especially having that short shelf life that I mentioned earlier. Like you have other guys, you think of like a Joe Thomas who played left tackle for God knows how many years. That dude raked in money.
Mm-hmm.
So a running back who's going to play half, if not a third of that career, they also now don't want to pay them.
Yeah, it does feel unjust.
Yeah, it's
for such a premium position.
Yeah, because I mean, running backs win games. And we've seen. I mean, I've watched Saquon single-handedly win the Giants games before. So, I don't think I just don't get it. Like I get it, but I don't. And at what point is, cap flexibility outweighing having an elite roster?
With Dalvin Cook too, at this point, if nobody ends up paying him, like he has zero incentive to sign something that he doesn't think he's worth.
Yeah.
So at that point,
and he already said too, he wants to go to a team that he feels accepted in. Like they want to.
What's the point of him even playing football anymore? You know what I mean?
If you're going to continue to get undervalued, and then as soon as you mess up, you're either going to be cut, released, whatever.
And it's not even mess up. You could be doing it all for your team, get hurt, trying to push that extra mile, and then, oh, sorry, we're going to cut you.
Yeah,
right, like we talk about his constant injury proneness.
For the most part, they've been minor.
Aside from fairly run him into the ground for the most part for the early part, or like for his rookie contract.
Which is another thing that's been kind of constant as of late is teams will maximize that rookie contract and then dump the running back and draft another one or pick up a cheap one.
And just keep that cycle going.
Yep. As opposed to
But
they have to figure out how to do something.
Kind of sad,
maybe with the contracts.
The more you talk about it and kind of go deeper into it and see the various multiple examples, it's pretty sad.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it makes sense for what they're doing because it's been the same cycle every single time. Is that you've paid these running backs, but then ultimately they wear down after, obviously in the middle or even after the first year of their contract, and then you got to do something. So this is their way of just, I guess, staying out of it at that point. But what team do we think he's going to go to before we finish this one out? I personally think best fit. Probably Miami. I think they really need a true lead back, and he's shown that he can catch the ball out of the backfield to a certain extent. But I think to really, really, really open up that offense and have a true run game and someone that can actually play 3 down, I think that he'd be the answer for them. I mean, that offense would be insane, but I think Miami would be definitely a good spot.
It would definitely help the constant carousel that they have, multiple different guys, because it felt like that backfield was 3 different guys' positions to lose and 3 different times throughout the season. Like you never had a constant. Miles Gaskin?
Yeah.
Miles Gaskin.
But as somebody who watched a lot of
Edmonds,
Jeff Wilson and a lot of Raheem Mostert over the last few years, and those are the 2 guys they've got spearheading the rushing attack right now. Dalvin runs very similarly to those 2 guys. He's a little bit less, I'd say, head down than those 2.
I would say he's more of a mix.
of the two.
Yeah, Jeff's a
Jeff's a
little
little
more powerful.
Jeff's got
Raheem's a little
power.
more
Raheem's got that
shiftier.
burst and the speed. I think he's very similar running. I think he could sign there within a week, be very comfortable with what they're doing.
Yeah,
because
he's like I said, he's probably still got with a team that's going to be heavy pass attack. It will hold his. He'll have more longevity throughout the season.
Yeah,
maybe save some injuries. Maybe prolong his career a couple more years.
Yeah, not getting 20-25 carries every game is gonna
10 to 15 is really all you need. And
and if you're looking at the course of now the 17 game season,
that adds up even more.
5 a game for 17 games, that's 85 less touches on the ball.
Exactly.
Like that's a lot of touches. So I think it definitely makes a lot of sense. Another team that I think, what's another good, just because I know we all agreed on the Dolphins, so I'm just trying to think of another team that would make some sense.
Buffalo
would make sense, but they're very capped. They're very cap strapped right now.
Yeah.
They'd have to move some stuff around to make it happen. It would be fun to watch James and Dalvin play together, though. I didn't even think of that until now.
Yeah, maybe he'll want to go and play with his brother for a year and then has a great year and then, actually has time to look and see somewhere else possible.
Again, so
Denver
some of the names on the list. Denver makes sense. New Orleans makes sense. If he's willing to take those, Denver especially, because I feel like Denver's a team where everyone's still down on them because of how bad they were this year. But there's no reason as to why they should not be good.
Yeah. And also I feel like Denver makes sense because Javante's coming off the injury.
Yeah.
I think a team like Dallas kind of makes sense for him to take what Zeke had.
Yeah.
That's similar. Basically take the role that Zeke's been in for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
New York again makes sense. I also think to hold down the fort until Breece Hall gets back up to speed.
Yeah.
But again, that's probably a similar situation to Denver where you're holding down the fort till the younger, already proven guy comes back. Cheaper. Yeah. The typical running back thing. Arizona maybe, but he wants to go.
Yeah.
He wants to win.
Yeah. I think, the Dolphins to me are like head and shoulders beyond in terms of
it's the best fit for sure
and situation.
Yeah.
The Saints is a good fit, but the situation's not as good.
Yeah.
Because
a lot of new faces coming in there as well.
Yeah. But I think that's about it. Like the rest of these teams, like Bills make sense, but can't realistically get him unless he signs for really cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see the Jets or the Broncos wanting to make that move. Okay.
that was interesting.
That broke me a little bit. I can't lie.
That website just didn't load.
Yeah, the website's not rendering properly.
But I don't know. I would say Miami would be Miami. I like the Denver pick though. Denver could be just because it could just like I said, Javonte, while he did prove himself a little bit, the sample size was fairly small. So you never really know. You know what you're getting with Dalvin. And again, it's another team that it'd be a fresh start for Dalvin, and it's also a fresh start for a lot of those guys with a new coach, Sean Payton. Obviously, Russ is getting another fresh start for the second year in a row. So that would probably be my oddball pick. Not oddball, but my
out there
non-Miami pick.
Yeah.
Miami does feel like the best spot. But let's move on. Like I said, we're kind of just waiting for things to get closer and closer to preseason.
Yeah.
It's more stuff to really start coming down. Obviously we're still only in the middle of June, so just a lot of camps and training camps and stuff like that. So a lot of players, like we said, we're just now reporting this week for the whole
mandatory
team.
Camps,
Exactly. So not too much to talk about there, but we can go to the MLB. I want to talk about one specific team, and then we can talk about the Rookie of the Year race to kind of cap off the episode. I think I was really glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Like I said, I thought about adding Rookie of the Year race to the agenda today. I didn't at first, and then Vitor kind of also wanted to talk about it. Made me happy because I like that. I feel like we kind of touched on that.
We've been talking
Saturday
about it.
last. Actually, for quite you're right.
We've
for quite a
been
bit we've
bringing
been kind of bringing it up. But let's go to the first thing I'm talking about, or I wanted to touch on. Just a big shout out was that yesterday JT Realmuto did hit for the cycle for the Phillies.
Now, how on earth did he triple is the real question.
Home run, triple, single, double. That was pretty impressive for a guy that's not the quickest. But anyways, that was just a shout out. The
He
main
has
thing I
4
wanted
triples
to
on the season.
the main thing I wanted to talk about was just the Phillies in general. We touched on it again. God, might have been a few weeks ago. We were talking about some of our
Mhm.
achievers, underachievers, overachievers, whatever. So the Phillies obviously made the World Series last year, had a phenomenal playoff run. Did lose to the Astros, but they are currently 8 games back in the NL East from the Braves. They are being overshadowed by Miami as well. Great pitching from Miami from 3 or 4 separate guys.
Murphy Nation,
And
baby.
then yeah, literally. And then an MVP type season right now from Luis Ariz. But the Philadelphia Phillies are 32-34 with a pretty piss poor away record. They're 13-23 on the road. They've been giving up quite a bit of runs. Pitching hasn't been there. The hitting has been really inconsistent. And since Bryce Harper came back, the lineup's been fairly consistent. You've got Trey Turner in the lineup every day. You've got Bryce Harper. Castellanos has been pretty solid. Realmuto's there. Alec Baum, Bryson Stott. Like, it's a pretty consistent lineup of your stars. Schwarber. But I don't know. I don't really understand it. Do we kind of see them righting the ship? Do we think they're going to gain traction at all? I don't know. I thought that when Bryce came back, it was going to kind of have a similar effect, ironically, to the team that beat them when Altuve came back for Houston. Like, Houston was around 500, and then Altuve came back, and they went on a huge run. So I'm kind of waiting for. There's multiple teams I would say that I'm waiting to kind of start making a run, but this is just a team that obviously made the World Series last year and was pretty close to winning a chip. So it's always surprising when a team that close is fairly lackluster. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think there's a couple things. One, I think that for the bulk of their lineup struggles against lefties.
Yep.
And that's going to cause them problems. You know, game in,
What do you
game
got
out.
against Bryce and Kyle like that, man?
It's like there's like 2. I think Castellanos and
That's their bright spot, in my opinion.
Scott or Boehm, one of those two. One of them, and Castellanos are the only guys who actually hit lefties well.
Bryce and Stott.
Yeah, everyone else
29.
Yeah, everyone else is just mediocre to bad.
It's actually kind of fun. So
And
Castellanos bats 342.
Yep.
Bryson Stott bats 329. And then actually Alec Boehm is their next at 279, but then it drops off to their main guys that all hit. That all play Sosa, Realmuto, Brandon Marsh, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper. Like, these guys are all sub 240. And actually 3 of them are sub 217.
Yeah.
That means Harper has brought his average up, right?
No, Harper was 185.
Oh, he brought it up, though.
Trey Turner was the 217.
He's brought it up to 185.
And Kyle Schwarber was the 159.
Yeah. And Kyle Schwarber's just batting 172 overall in the season as well.
Right, which he's actually has such a crazy stat line to me.
It's like every other hit.
Because his OPS and slugging are high.
Yeah.
Because he hits home runs and RBIs.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only hits he gets. But he's only batting like $170.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
still in the 2-hole. Like,
I think another big part of their struggles is Trey Turner having a down year.
So
like,
bad. Like, honestly, he's making the Dodgers look like geniuses.
Yeah. Because they
don't even have a true shortstop right now.
He's the type of guy that you always counted on, like, you want him leading off or hitting second because you're gonna get a hit.
30
you can get on first, steal second. You've got a runner in scoring position after one at bat. This year, his hitting's just not there. I don't know if it's.
Well, there's a couple. I watched. They were on Sunday night a couple weeks ago. Might have been a few weeks ago, actually. He's got some hitches in his swing that weren't there over the summer. So he's just a little late. He's a little late and a little behind on some pitches. Yeah, there's just some hits where he's bringing his hands a little too, like his load's a little too long.
I would like to
not
announce
a short swing as much.
That Kyle Schwarber has homered to lead off the game today.
Hey,
bringing his average to 176.
And his slugging, everything, basically what we just said. But Trey's definitely been not good for them.
Yeah, I think that's the 2 biggest things. I also think the pitching hasn't been great.
No, not
Even
at
when you
all.
look at a guy like Wheeler, he's got like a 1.21 WHIP, but he's still giving up like 3.9 for the ERA.
1.12.
1.12.
That was a solid guess.
I looked at
I'm
it.
just
earlier,
kidding.
but-
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think the pitching's also been a problem. Like Wheeler's been
They
there.
have a 1-2 between
no.
Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler,
Yeah,
but
but
the
neither
3,
of them
4,
are
5
pitching
is
at the
just
and they haven't been pitching to the standard that they pitched last year.
And then
Mhm.
Taiwan Walker has been pretty lackluster. He's
Yeah.
got a 4
Well,
or
at
5
least
ERA.
at least the last 6 starts, he's only allowed 5 runs, so that's at least a positive note. For
Yeah,
him.
right. But I mean, he's still sitting at.
Well,
I mean, all their ERAs are fairly trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wheeler has
Because
been
beyond
bomb
those
the last
3,
few
you've got
games.
Matt Strom and Bailey Falter, and they
Yeah.
haven't been like. And then the bullpen, they have what, Gregory Soto and Craig Kimbrell and
Jose
Kimbrell is not
Alvarado.
having a good
Jose
time with the
Alvarado,
new rules. Oh,
I don't know. It's.
I mean, they have and they even got Gregory Soto from Detroit. So I mean, they got the pieces that I felt
It
like
just
the
feels
team.
like everyone collectively is underperforming.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not named Castellanos.
Even when you look at the guys who are performing, when you look a little bit deeper into the numbers, it feels like they're not performing.
It's a recency.
It's like same with like Bryce. His overall numbers look good.
290 to 330.
Yeah, his numbers look good.
The splits and it's
Yeah, and then you're like, he's unplayable against lefties, and this is a guy who's supposed to be an MVP level player, and he's could be legitimately a big reason why you cannot win games against lefties.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the deal with their home and away splits, but yeah, I can see them getting better, but if you go through their game log all season, they've been super streaky. Like they just came off a 6-game win streak, lost 2 or 3 in a row after that. So they
won 7. No, they won 6.
Yeah, now they've
lost 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. Lost 1.
Yeah, so they're very streaky.
So they won 6 and then lost 3.
And if you just scroll through, like you see a lot of like greens and then a lot of reds and green. Like I just think that's kind of going to be the story of their season. They're going to have parts where it looks like they figured it out. And
what I think is concerning for me, and a similar thing that I was concerned about for Houston, but not too much anymore, is that division doesn't look weak anymore. Like it's not just them in Atlanta, or now it's them and the Mets. Like the Mets are also in a pretty bad spot, because I know when we did division winners, they were also a team most of us picked, or some of us picked, to at least have a chance to win the division. I mean, they spent the most money. They're 9 back, so they're even worse off than the Phillies.
Can we just
and then obviously
badly about them? They're
right, bro. But they did that yesterday. They went up 5-0.
Yeah,
and they lost 9-6.
Yesterday was the blown game day.
You know what I'm saying?
The Braves did it. The Rangers
they've got. For me, it's tough to see them. Yeah, sure, they gain traction, but what does that say? Like, you still are. There's 3 teams around you that have a chance to steal playoff spots from you. So gaining traction versus actually being consistent, like I feel like they need to just have a freaking heart-to-heart with each other or something.
Yeah, that's a team that needs.
There's a few teams that I think need that. So yeah, I don't know. I would like to see. Yeah, no, bro, they're done. They're done. The Cardinals are done. They're 2 MVP candidates. Well, Arenado's been pretty good recently, but they just haven't been. Their pitching is it, ain't it, Brett? Their pitching ain't it.
Speaking of home runs.
But let's go to our last little segment here. We're going to talk about the Rookie of the Year race. Got quite a bit of names running through, some surprisers. We'll start AL, I guess. I think there's a pretty, I would say, interesting favorite, just because I like the other guy a little better. But Yoshida from the Red Sox, Masataka Yoshida. He's probably most people's favorite. I would have agreed maybe 2 weeks ago.
He is on him.
But actually, to be fair, Josh Young was 3 weeks ago was going through a tear as well.
Yeah.
That's my pick. I like Josh Young, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
That's my pick from the Rangers. He, to me, has been a consistent for them. Obviously, the whole offense, they have the best offense in baseball, them and the Rays. So, like, it's tough to say, but I feel like he's been fairly consistent. We've seen Corey Seager missed games. We've seen, Adelise Garcia be inconsistent. We've seen early season Nathaniel Lowe struggled.
Yeah.
Simeon went on a 25-game hit streak.
Now he's cooled off pretty badly.
He did go 0-for-7 yesterday. 0-for-7. They played 12 innings.
He's also 0-for-3.
But I feel like Josh Jung has been fairly consistent for me. Like he'll go a game or two without getting a hit, but then he'll go 5 or 6 with a hit. I think he also had a fairly lengthy hit streak.
Yeah.
At this pretty overlapping with Simeon's.
Yeah.
That would be my pick. I mean, the stats also kind of he's batting 287. He's got 13 home runs, 40 RBIs. The on base plus slugging is 843. I mean, these are all top 30 stats for a guy that's 25 in year one. So
yeah.
And he plays the hot corner, like that's a pretty important position as well. And when you look at defensive stats, just a few errors maybe, if I can get it to pull up. Jesus Christ, no errors at all this year. So 3 errors this year. I'm sorry, I was looking at last year.
One game at DH.
I was looking at last year. 3 errors this year, but 980 fielding percentage is pretty solid.
Yeah,
and honestly, the AL side of things is where it's actually like chill.
Really? I think the AL has barely 3-horse race. I mean, they also
that's what I mean.
Big shout out to Hunter Brown.
Brown's been that
he's a strikeout machine.
Yeah,
They
third
got
guy
him
on the
third.
Yeah, he's.
But I actually like the other one. Obviously, Yoshida. We can run through his stats quick. He's actually front runner at the moment.
His as
After yesterday's game.
No, as of right now, because he's 0-for-3.
So going into the game tonight, he was 303 batting average, which was top 10. He does have half as many home runs as Jung and 7 less RBIs, a little bit higher OPS. Those are just some of the surface stats. But the guy's just kind of a machine. He's a fastball hitting machine, realistically. I think a lot of teams have started to realize that and are, 1, pitching him away, 2, throwing him a lot of curveballs. The Yankees did a phenomenal job keeping him, basically only showing him off speed.
Yeah.
He actually went hitless over the weekend series, which
Including
brought
this
him down
game.
from 320.
Including this game that's going on right now. He's 1 for his last 15.
Yeah, he entered
Two of his last
the
20.
Yankees series at 315, and as Vitor said, he's now down to 293, 290. What'd you say, 7 or 8?
299.
Or
Well,
9.
if he's gonna get at least one more at bat today. So
Okay, my sleeper though is Esteury Ruiz.
Yeah.
I thought that was a phenomenal. That was scary.
That was
Scary. But Esteury Ruiz for me, for Oakland, a team that is, they've won 5 out of their last 6 or 5 in a row or something, but they're still 18-50. So they're still terrible, which I think is not helping his cause.
No.
But just in general, for a tried and true leadoff hitter, batting about 260, he's only got 1 home run, but 28 RBIs is pretty solid. And he's already got, 31 stolen bases, and we're only in game 66 for him. So basically a stolen base every other game. It's been caught 6 times, but I don't know. I think he might not be the most effective at maybe outright helping your team win, but I think it's just a fun pick. I could see it.
Yeah, this is also a guy who's bounced around.
Yeah,
And
he's
so,
been
like,
on 3
that's
teams in
that's
3
tough
years,
to
2 years.
do when you're a young player. You need to kind of be able to see some consistency and grow.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, the AL to me is where things are less
chaotic.
Yeah,
Interesting. I would disagree.
I think the favorite is more clear in the NL, but
I guess I would think
more
it's definitely
candidates who
top
have-
heavier. I would say it's probably more top heavy in the AL.
Whereas I think the NL you can actually go down and make cases for more guys.
probably 7, 8 guys.
Yeah,
But personally, outright, just first off, Corbin Carroll.
yeah,
For me,
he's been.
I do agree with also the second pick though. They have Francisco Alvarez, who I really like defensively, power hitter for New York. The Mets also have both Brett Beatty and Kodai Senga. Kodai Senga on the road versus his home splits are he's a Cy Young candidate at home. He shouldn't even be in your rotation on the road. So that really balances out his stats. Brett Beatty's been decent filling in for them and has really consistently, especially as of late, been a solid piece for them. But they got Ellie De La Cruz, the most recent phenomenon. I think Vitor made a good point that there might be just projecting the rest of the season for him. Because if he keeps up what he started at,
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who can turn a single into a triple if it's deep enough. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
That kind of ability. Outman started hot. It's kind of cooled down.
He for me would have been a really shoe-in for like a month in.
Yeah.
And then Spencer Steer for the Reds as well.
Yeah, because he's been good, consistent. I feel like he's one of those guys that you can kind of trust. He's not the flashiest guy.
No.
But I feel like he's every game.
Feels like the Reds in general. Well, I guess De La Cruz and Jonathan India are fairly flashier.
Yeah, but
Jonathan India's got the long locks and the
Steer feels like every game he's on base, like whether it's be
what I would say he influences winning.
Yeah.
And that's something that's tough to find, especially as a rookie.
Then there's Yuri Perez, who his expected numbers are actually pretty bad, but his real numbers are pretty good.
Yes.
So
that is true.
That's what matters. If your expected numbers,
your expected ERA is over 5, but your actual ERA is like 2.7.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can consider, if you're doing it consistently, then it means you're doing something right.
You've got a couple giants.
Yeah, we got Casey on this list. They got Casey Schmidt. I actually think Patrick Bailey might be more of a.
Is that the catcher?
No, Schmidt is our third baseman.
I think it's Sable, right?
Sable is the catcher, but he's not a rookie. Patrick Bailey is a catcher as well. So they got Schmidt and Bailey, who both came on super hot in their debuts, and the first week or so that they were up. Casey, I think, has fallen down to earth a little bit more. But I mean, he's got a cannon for an arm. Great defensive infielder. He's playing short and third. And then Patrick Bailey, young catcher. He was actually, especially because the last regime had drafted Joey Bart, right, who was the big prospect catcher, and they still took Bailey. Looking like they made a good choice. He's hitting like leading into tonight's game. I think he was at 317. He's thrown out a couple people stealing. He's looking good. Looks like he can bat, switch hit. He's a switch hitter. So I'd like to see it, with baseball, with it being so many games, a lot of things can change. A lot of guys can come up and go crazy. A lot of guys can cool off. But this NL race to me it's
deep. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think Corbin Carroll's is by far the favorite. But it's such a long season that you never know what's going to happen.
Something he's gone, hamstring, anything, misses a month or two.
Then there's so much time for other guys to heat up.
But I think what also helps for Corbin Carroll is the success of the Diamondbacks as well.
Yeah,
they're first in the West, which is very impressive for me as a team that's finished last for a multitude of years in a row.
We're in third place. It feels very familiar.
Yes, yes, it does. Let me get Danny. Give me your winners.
I mean,
we know it's a long season, but
I'll probably go with Corbin Carroll as a favorite in the NL. And then I'll probably go with Ellie as a sleeper, depending on if he continues the kind of tear that he's really on again. Not that many at bats or anything like that, but has gotten a hit in every game except for the last 2 against the Royals. So I'll go with him as a sleeper, Corbin Carroll as the favorite. And then in the AL, I'm actually going to go with Jung as the favorite. I think he's done more so an impact of winning. The stats are pretty similar. He has more strikeouts than the guy from Boston, but I think he's impacting the winning much more, obviously.
I think that comes with the style of hitting, though. He's more of a power style versus Yoshida's contact.
Yeah. So, and then I'll go with Yoshida as the sleeper. So, yeah.
You'd want a guy like Yoshida batting right before Josh Jung.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you got?
I also agree that Jung is my favorite.
Let's go. That's a sweep.
Yeah, and I've said it. Corbin Carroll is the clear favorite right now, but I think there's so many names in this NL race. I can't wait to see how things continue to unfold because there's so many good players here.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I agree. I'm picking Josh Jung as well. That's my guy. But I'm gonna go Gunnar Henderson
as your sleeper.
Home run today, boy.
Yeah, hit a granny today.
Also Hunter Brown. I think if he continues to be, with the fact that they've lost already, McCullers is barely pitched.
Mm-hmm.
Luis Garcia's already out. Like Urquidy, I believe Jose Urquidy's been out for a little bit now. He's been able to really help pace a rotation that's definitely heavily injured. So I think he's also a really good pick.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna stick with Corbin Carroll. but I'll go to Spencer Steer. I think by the end of the season, I don't think he will, but with it being a sleeper pick, he to me screams sleeper. Like Vitor said it.
Yeah, just
Quiet, goes about his business, does a job. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of what you look for, especially as a rookie. Like you're not looking for anything too flashy, but flashy wins awards. So I'll stick with Corbin Carroll because I think he's gonna win it. I'd be surprised if he didn't. But yeah, Spencer Steer would be my sleeper there.
Yep. Patrick Bailey is my sleeper in the NL.
No, it's not. Y'all gotta get good first.
Hey, we're 2 games over 500 and we're up 9-2.
That's all I got, Dan.
Speaking of, guess who just homered? Patrick Bailey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Cut this out before any other giant stuff starts happening.
Yeah, but that's the end of the episode here for you guys for episode number 53. Again, check this out on YouTube. And then again, next week be prepared for the NBA draft special that we will do next Thursday. Again, we'll do probably it's going to be a full coverage one. I know generally it's about a 2-hour draft or so, but we'll at least do the first round, and then we'll also do pre-draft stuff as well. I know how they kind of have the show there, so then that way we can kind of listen in on the on any rumors that may be happening or anything like that. So kind of just being like an extra piece to the telecast there, so it should be fun. But yeah, again, tune into our YouTube, subscribe, like and comment if you guys haven't already. Check out our TikTok videos this coming week, as we'll be posting some videos from last week's episode as well. And then we'll see you guys next Thursday for the NBA draft. So have a great rest of the week, y'all.
Also, shout out Brandon Crawford, who's a career 0 ERA.
That was sick.
Deuces, y'all.
Later.